Kia ora, welcome to Under the Checkered Flag, MotoGP edition. I'm your host Kate, and we're just going to jump right in. Today I am joined again with PozzA Onshu from the Discord server, and him being such a huge fan of Moto3 and Moto2, I thought it's best that we do our riders' ratings. So, shall we jump right into it, or would you like to say anything, Poz?
Nah, jump right in. Sounds good.
Okay. I apologise in advance for that absolute butchering of the names that I will do, but we'll start with Angelus MTA Team. At least I think that's what they're called. That's how they're spelt. So for Stefano Neppa, I have gone 5 out of 10, just because he was nowhere in the second half of the season. And for Ivan Ortola, I've gone for a 7.5 out of 10.
I had Nepa at a 6 out of 10. I just feel like a lot of the times he didn't finish up the front, but there was a few occasions where he was sort of fighting up the front for most of the race, just couldn't get it done. And I had Ortola at an 8 because I feel like he was not quite on top of like finishing up the front compared to like Masia, Sasaki, but he was consistently sort of 5th, 6th for most of the season, so I don't think he did terribly. Next up is Boa Motorsports. I had David Munoz as a 7 out of 10. I feel like he probably could have been better. People probably expected more with how he did last season, but he honestly probably could have been a 6.5, but I have him down as a 7. And Anna Carrasco I had as a 2.5, just because I feel like she was sort of always at the back, not really fighting for the points or anything.
Yeah, I've definitely been a lot harsher on David Munoz. I think, like you said, sorry, Lewis just jumped on my lap. Like you said, people expected more, and I was definitely one of those people. So I've gone with a 4 out of 10 for both Munoz and Anna. Pretty much the same for Anna. She was sort of not even fighting for points, like you said. So, a bit harsh. Maybe I've been too generous to her, but 4 out of 10 for both. For Kip, I'm going to go with Kip. I think it's just CIP green power. For David Salvador, I've gone for a 6 out of 10 because he was a rookie and he did pretty well. And for Lorenzo Fallon, I gave a 4 out of 10 because other than Phillip Island, I don't really recall even thinking about him. So,
With David Salvador, again, I feel like I might have gone a step down too low for him, but I had him as a 4.5. Compared to some of the other rookies, he wasn't as impressive as them, but he didn't do terribly, so I might have been a bit harsh in that one. Lorenzo Fallon, I feel like he's been in the paddock for a number of years now, and apart from Phillip Island this year, which was a wet race, he hasn't really done anything. He did start the season with some injuries, but I feel like he should still be a bit further up the field with the experience that he has.
you gonna do GasGas or shall
Oh yeah, right.
I?
Um, for GasGas Aspar, obviously David Alonso, Ryusei Yamanaka. I had David Alonso as a 9.5 because just the things that he's done as a rookie this year, he'll definitely be one to watch next year. But yeah, I think it was 4 race victories, multiple podiums, puts him up there at a 9.5, I think. Yamanaka I had at a 6 out of 10 because I feel like, again, he's got a few years of experience now. He was with one of the top teams. He didn't do terribly, but he probably should have been a bit further up.
I'm of a very similar mindset to you. David Alonso, I have gone 10 out of 10. So I have given one 10 out of 10 for each class. And given the fact he was a rookie and adapted so well, I just think absolutely incredible that he got wins, and he was performing pretty strongly at tracks that he hadn't been to before, which is always pretty incredible. And he's definitely sort of just got that natural talent. And Yamanaka, I guess, 7 out of 10. I could have gone lower, but given the fact his teammate just did so well as a rookie, like you said, he's been around for a little bit, and I did sort of expect more from him, especially in comparison to his teammates. Teammate. Um, for MT helmets, MSI Race Tech, that doesn't quite roll off the tongue. For Diogo Moreira, I put 6 out of 10. Reasonable, but yeah, I guess I sort of expected more from him as well. And Asman, I've put 4 out of 10 because while he is a rookie, his results were pretty patchy.
Yeah, I had Moreira at an 8 out of 10, and again, looking back at it now, he probably could have been closer to a 7, 7.5. I feel like going into the season, everyone sort of expected him to be challenging for the title, and just just after the first half of the season, I want to say, he wasn't really fighting at the front, apart from the race that he won. Um, but yeah, everyone thought he would have been a bit higher up than he was, and Asman, obviously a rookie, but I feel like, again, he had injuries throughout the year, but he wasn't really fighting for top tens that much, not scoring a great amount of points. CF Moto Prustel, obviously Artigas and Joel Kelso. I had Artigas at a 6 out of 10. I think throughout the year he scored one podium, but he's definitely too tall for Moto3. That's one of the big things. I think he's the tallest rider in the class, so he's obviously going to struggle a bit more. And Joel Kelso, 6 out of 10, was impressive in Portimao, first race of the season. Then got injured a bit. Just been the story of his career so far, really. But yeah, got another podium in Phillip Island. I think he had a pretty good year overall.
For Artigas and Kelso, I've actually gone 5 out of 10 for both. Kelso, it hurts me to give him a 5 out of 10, probably because he's Australian and getting a podium at home is always pretty awesome, I think. So that was, yeah, is what it is. They were both alright throughout the season, but nothing spectacular. For Red Bull KTM IO, so we've got Jose Antonio Rueda and Dennis Onshu. And Rueda I've given a 6.5 because he was pretty good and he was a rookie and he was often up there battling at the front. And for Onshu I've given a 7.5 out of 10 because he was in that title fight a lot more, and I know he's definitely your favourite, but he did do some questionable moves, I suppose.
I had Rueda at a 7 out of 10. I feel like expectations were a bit high for him coming into the season with how well he did in Red Bull Rookies Cup and European Moto3 last year. But he got a podium, was up there fighting in a fair amount of races. He could be another one to watch next year, obviously, in the KTM IO team. I put Dennis Onshu at a 9.5 out of 10, just because I feel like he was in the title fight for most of the year, and with his size and weight disadvantage compared to Masuya Sasaki, but most of the other riders, I feel like he did pretty well, winning a couple of races, winning his first race, obviously. So yeah, 9.5. Red Bull KTM Tech 3. I had Filippo Farioli at a 3.5 out of 10, which, looking back at it, does still kind of feel a bit harsh because he was a rookie. But yeah, I feel like sort of scraping just just scraping the points throughout most of the year. Sort of flew under the radar, not didn't really have any outstanding performances. Um, and yeah, Danny Holgado had 9 out of 10, just because I feel like his first half of the season was really good, but after sort of Assen, he kind of just fell off a bit too much. Obviously, going from first in the standings to I think fifth in the end.
I am not surprised that you've put Onchu above Holgado. Um, I've given Holgado a 7 out of 10, so I've also put him Onchu above. And yeah, you said it all really. He started so strong and then it just fell off a cliff, sort of thing. And for him not to be able to carry that momentum through when it did look like he had the title in the bag early was really disappointing. For Farioli, I've gone a 4 out of 10. Yes, rookie, but also we knew that the Tech 3 machine's a good machine, and so I did expect a bit more from him. Moving on to Liqui Moly Husqvarna Intact GP, another name that just rolls off the tongue. We have Ayumi Sasaki and Colin Vire. So Sasaki, I've gone for a 9 out of 10. I think I would have rated him lower if he didn't get that win at Valencia, just because he was always at the front and always covering P2. He was sort of Canet-esque in a lot of the season. So for him to get that win, I think, yeah, after a strong season, 9 out of 10. And Colin Vire, I have gone for a 7.5 out of 10. He was a rookie and really strong performances, and I remember he sort of proved he's got the talent. While he wasn't as consistent as Alonso, I think he'll definitely be having some potential in the future.
I had Sasaki at a 9.5, along with Alonso and Onju, obviously fighting for the title for most of the year. Um, Sasaki almost could have been just a bit higher with just the level of consistency he had throughout the season. Um, Obviously, finishing second, third for most of the year. Um, couldn't get it done in the end, but yeah, I have him 9.5. And Colin Vire, he was really impressive throughout the year, especially because he's one of the taller riders, so there's that disadvantage sort of on the straights. But yeah, got his first win, was up there fighting uh, for most races in the second half of the year, so yeah, 8.5. Honda Team Asia, with Furusato and Mario Adji. I had Furusato at a 6 out of 10, probably boosted by him getting his first podium in Thailand. But I feel like, um, obviously, being one of the younger riders on the grid, only in his second year, I feel like he did pretty well, fighting for top 10s in a fair amount of races. Didn't think he did too badly, so 6 out of 10. Mario Adji, I had him at 4 out of 10, just purely because he's the complete wrong body type for Moto3. He's, I think, 10, 20 kilos heavier than the next heaviest rider. So, apart from in wet races mainly, he's not really going to be fighting for the points. But the fact that he scored points in a dry race, I feel like, was very impressive.
For Furusato, I have gone for a 5.5, and Mario Aji, I've gone for a 3 out of 10. You do make some excellent points, and I did consider revising this, but I've gone with what I wrote initially just because while he is not built for the class, I did sort of, I guess because I put this expectation on certain riders, if they don't perform to my expectation, they're getting marked quite harshly. So, yeah. Moving on to Leopard Racing. Now, I've actually gone with three riders here. So, Xiaoma Masia, Tatsuki Suzuki, I always stumble over that, and Adrian Fernandez. And I'll start with Messier. I have given him an 8 out of 10. I know I've gone harsher on him because of the moves he was pulling at the end of the season. Those aggressive moves on Sasaki were unwarranted, in my opinion, and it did leave sort of a sour taste in my mouth because he didn't really need to do them, especially not when there was still one race to go where he could have taken the title. So, 8 out of 10. For Suzuki, I've gone with a 4 out of 10. Similar reasoning. It's just, yeah, didn't enjoy watching them on track when they were on track. But Adrian Fernandez, I've gone for a 7.5 out of 10, purely because he was leading a race. While he did crash out, I just thought that was really strong performance from him. And while I've marked Masia down for the moves he pulled on Sasaki, Adrian Fernandez got brought into that team with one job, and that was to help Masia win the title, and he definitely did that. So 7.5 out of 10 for him.
I had Masia at 9.5, same as pretty much the rest of the title challenges. Obviously, those moves in Qatar weren't great. I still feel like even if he just rode his own race, I think going into the last race, pretty much Sasaki needed to win, Massey needed to crash out. So I don't think those moves were warranted, but it happened, and nothing we can really do about it. So yeah, I have him at a 9.5. Tatsuki Suzuki, I had him at a 4.5. I feel like he's one of the most experienced riders on the Moto3 grid with one of the best teams. Um, he did get one win, but I feel like overall his performances, they probably should have been a lot better. Um, just a bit of a disappointment overall. And Adrian Fernandez, I had him at a 6 out of 10. Obviously only did probably 6, 7, 8 races. I think he got 2 top 5s, including Phillip Island, where he crashed out of the lead. Um, so yeah, I think did pretty well at the job that he came in to do for Leopard. River Cold Snipers with Batelli and Fanati. I had Matteo Batelli at a 5 out of 10. I feel like he was really good in qualifying throughout the year, but couldn't really bring it home in the race so much. Um, didn't really get any standout results, I don't think. So yeah, just 5 out of 10. Romano Fenati, I had him at a 4.5. Again, I think he is the most experienced rider on the grid. Um, Obviously, the Honda has been less up there than the KTM's, but I still feel like with his experience, he was only really fighting at the front in maybe 1 or 2 races.
I've been harsher here than you for both of them. For Vitelli, I've gone a 4 out of 10, and for Nardi, a 1 out of 10. I know River Cold Snipers don't have the same budget that Leopard Racing does, so their bike may not, and the riders may not get that extra funding, which often helps with performance and things like that. But for Nardi, like you said, the experience there, I expected, yeah, battling at the front consistently throughout the season, and he definitely didn't do that. So overall, I'm not going to be disappointed to not have him on the grid this year for many reasons. Now, 658 Squadra course, we have Riccardo Rossi and Kyoto Taiba. I think I'm saying that wrong, but oh well, she'll be right. So, Rossi, I've given a 6 out of 10, and Toba, I've given a 7 out of 10, and I didn't write down any notes, so I can't actually tell you why I gave them that.
Um, I've gone pretty similar. I have Rossi at a 6 out of 10 and Toba at 6.5 out of 10. I feel like Toba's always sort of been one of the riders that only does well at a select few tracks a year. So, sort of midway around the season, I think around Mazzano, I actually started noticing that he was sort of top 6, top 7, which was pretty impressive to me. Um, and Riccardo Rossi, I feel like for most of the time, apart from the Leopard Hondas, he was up there as one of the top Hondas, sort of around maybe 8th or ninth for most of the season. Um, but yeah, I don't feel like he did terribly either. Moving on to the last team, Vision Track Racing with Scott Ogden and Josh Watley. I feel like they're probably one of the most disappointing teams overall. Um, they didn't really get any standout results. Um, the only thing I can really think that was pretty impressive was Ogden getting second in qualifying at Silverstone. So I have Ogden at a 4 out of 10 and Josh Watley at a 3 out of 10. Watley did score some points here and there, and obviously is still pretty young, so if given a bit more of a chance, he might improve a bit more. But yeah, overall, pretty disappointing year for them, I'd say.
Before I give my results, I have a question. Was it Ogden that stalled as well?
Yeah, he qualified second and started dead last.
Oh, that's rough. Poor guy. Especially your home Grand Prix too. So I've given Ogden a 4. Yeah, this team, as you said, they they did nothing really this year, which is a bit unfortunate. I think out of all of the teams on the grid, they're the biggest disappointment for me for the year, in Moto3 anyway. And for Joshua Watley, I've given a 3 out of 10. Similar reasoning, but I do think, like you said, if he's given the opportunity to develop and has the right team around him, I think there's lots of potential for him in the future. So that was it for the Moto 3 predictions. Ugh, brain fart. That was it for the Moto 3 riders ratings. Did you just quack at me? How did you do that? We will be back this time next week to do our Moto 2 riders ratings. Let us know if you agree with us, if you think that we have been too harsh or too soft on some riders. We always love to hear everyone's point of view. So have a wonderful week. If you enjoyed this, like and subscribe. And as I said, we will be discussing Moto 2 next week.